Hi, it's Chloe, the founder of Equinox Atelier and the creator of this channel Made in Scotland. Today, I am wicking and stickering lots of little Tealight samplers. So I thought I'd take you along with me for a little bit and we can just chat about the different scents and why I use essential oil blends in my candles instead of fragrance oils. So first, a little bit about these samplers. So they are the same size as a Tealight, traditional Tealight sampler. You'll get all of the CLP information and the name on the bottom on a sticker. And this is already burned down because I was testing it, but you'll have a little candle on the inside. So in your packet, you're going to get 6 of the Tealights. So all of the 6 core scents. So you can sample them and see which ones speak to you. There's floral forward ones, there's spicy forward ones, there's earthy ones. So depending on what strikes you, what mood you're in, even maybe what time of year it is, you might want to go for a different scent. I'll just bring you down here a little bit so you can make these along with me. So a lot of you really like the fragrance oil blends that I used to make, and don't get me wrong, I really liked them too. I'll still make them for myself, I'll still burn them. I have absolutely no problem with them. But the main reason that I chose to start making with only essential oils is really because as the manufacturer of the candles, I was coming into contact with these chemicals in a much more concentrated form than you would as a consumer. So constantly breathing in these chemicals, having them sometimes come into contact with my skin, and having studied and become a certified aromatherapist, I know exactly how molecules can enter the bloodstream and enter the body through your nose. And while it's in a smaller concentration in a candle, it's not that harmful. And the fragrance oils that I use were really high quality and not like carcinogenic or toxic at all. But they're still maybe disrupting hormones. They're still maybe doing something. And in the higher concentration, the kind that I was coming into contact with because I was using the highly concentrated oils, I felt like it wasn't the best thing long-term for my body. So I decided that, hey, look, I'm going to go all natural. Then I at least know exactly what has gone into this. And Mother Nature has put all these chemicals together rather than a lab. So that was my main reason, honestly, was my own health. And also, I feel like I can stand by knowing exactly what I'm selling to my customers and what they're coming into contact with their bodies. I do know that fragrance oils can have some of the types of scents that people prefer that you can't get in a natural oil. So things like coconut flavors, chocolatey flavors, even my favorite apple spice flavor. There's no like apple scent. So that's a bit of a disappointment for those of you that I think really loved some of those more like sandalwoody, musky type, vanilla-y type scents that aren't possible in essential oils. And I get it. But I have tried to find blends and formulations that give you a different variety of scents so that there's still the same amount of range as there was before, just in a more natural format. And I'm really also trying to lean into, rather than going the aromatherapy route necessarily by saying like, this is good for this, and there's legal reasons for that, I still feel like the overall health and benefit of having essential oils is something that I bear in mind when I'm making the candles. The other thing I'll say is with essential oils and the fact that their scents actually you can find in nature, only it's a much more concentrated version. I feel like it hopefully brings you closer to nature as well. So I try to evoke the sense of like being in a forest, for example, with the West Highland Way candle. It's very like, it's got patchouli in it, so it's very earthy. It's got cedar and myrrh, so it feels very foresty, resinous. And I want people to go on a scent journey where they really feel like they're in nature, and I think that that's not truly possible with a fragrance oil. So while my heat gun warms up, let's talk about what are essential oils. So essential oils are created by distilling plant materials. So they could be flowers, it could be leaves of a particular plant. And the air that boils when you distill, you're boiling plant matter and water together. When it boils and becomes steam, it goes through a tubing process and will cool down and become essential oils that have risen to the top and water that can be drained at the bottom. So you end up with just the pure essential oil that comes, the volatile oils, which means they can fly quickly, they evaporate quickly, are at the top and the water is drained out. Now, the essential oils aren't really oils. Like I said, they're volatile. They actually flash or evaporate quickly, and an oil would not. And they are chemical constituents that are inside every plant, and they have lots of really natural, interesting uses in the plant world. So often essential oils are compounds that a plant has produced to protect itself, potentially, to heal itself, as natural deterrents for insects, maybe as natural alluring scents for insects. So that each essential oil is playing a different part, and each plant has its different needs and its different purpose in the plant kingdom. So in aromatherapy, what you look at is the different compounds and their chemical response on the human body and what happens. So some can be antibacterial, antifungal. They could be pain relieving. They could be something that lifts your spirits. It could be something that's kind of relaxing, like a lavender. And so it's really, I think, super interesting to see how plants and the human body interact. And with essential oils, you're getting just that pure compound of the essential oil. In something like traditional herbal medicine, you could be drinking teas, you could be using ointments, you could be taking plants internally, and you're looking at the whole person and the whole plant and how they all interact and how indeed blends of those interact. So aromatherapy is really just looking at the concentrated version and administering it either through scent, so that's the aroma part, like smelling the oils and the compounds going into your bloodstream through the nose and through inhaling. But also aromatherapists can do massage oils and ointments and things like that that you're putting on your body that absorb through the dermis, through the skin layer. So again, my candles aren't for the purpose of aromatherapy, but because I am an aromatherapist and I've done some foundation studies in herbal medicine, I am always thinking about how plants and constituents and things are interacting and entering the body and what's happening, and making sure that everything is really healthy, which is again a reason I really want to make natural candles and introduce people to this world. And if you want to learn more, then you can learn more. And so I had these single essential oil wax melts and I had single essential oil bottles that I was selling for those that did want to get more into the aromatherapy side of things, like burning juniper wax melts to have more antibacterial molecules cleaning the air and things like that. They weren't that popular. If people would like me to bring them back, if they start to get into it, please DM me and let me know, leave me a comment. But I respect that. I get that not everybody's into that or like wants to do the research or wants to look on my website and see what these things are for. So I'm very happy to just make nice smelly things. And so that's what I'm doing now. So I'm not taking blends into consideration of like, oh, this is good for relaxation. Oh, this is good for pain management, etc. Although secretly I know which are good for which. So it just is like a nice little layer, honestly, kind of just for me. And for those of you that are into it, or those of you who use plants, not just medicinally or in that kind of context, but maybe more spiritually or magically, I think it's also really cool that these are made with pure natural ingredients. So you know that you're getting the energetics of those particular plants if that's what you want to use the candles for. So I do think that coming back to this concept, or kind of moving to this concept, I guess is more correct to say, I am coming back to the original purpose of my brand, which is to connect people with nature, to educate people about plants and nature, and hopefully provide something fun that you can use in daily rituals, in resetting, in slowing down, in reconnecting, and just bringing a bit of nature into your home. So that's really the main reason behind this new collection. I am doing a Christmas collection as well. They will be pure essential oils for all the reasons I just mentioned, but they'll be maybe more like traditional Christmassy scents, like cinnamony and orange and cinnamon and that kind of thing. So yeah, let me know what you think if you've tried any of these blends, if you're wanting to get one of these samplers, whether you think that they're better or not your vibe when it comes to essential oils versus fragrance oils. And let me know also if you're a candle maker and you have any questions about working with essential oils, because I feel like there's some misinformation about them. And honestly, I think it comes from people who are trying to sell the fragrance oil, but saying that they're like not as safe, that they don't burn as well. That certainly could be true, but you're probably just using too much oil. They're also saying like, oh, you need to use so much more essential oil to get a good cold throw and hot throw. Cold throw being the smell that when it's not burning, and hot throw being the smell when it is burning. I don't think so. I'm using way less than I used when I had fragrance oil to get a stronger version of a scent, I think. And it doesn't drown the wick. It doesn't get too hot. It's not, burning harmful chemicals that are going into the atmosphere. I don't use essential oils that would do that. Like, I probably wouldn't burn a eucalyptus. I wouldn't put a tea tree or something in a candle because I wouldn't want that to be irritating. I guess essential oils aren't really given as much attention in the candle making world. but I definitely would recommend you try and play around. You may like it even better than your fragrance oils. And if you want to stick with fragrance oils, absolutely fine, because again, I love them. I wouldn't have made them for people if I thought they were unsafe. When I'm asked about it, I have always said, like, you've come into so much contact with chemicals in your day to day. You're touching bleach, you're touching motor oil. Like, you are not exempt from being exposed to very harmful chemicals all the time. What's in your candle, especially if it's from a reputable source, a reputable manufacturer, high quality, etc., it's not going to hurt you. What's probably more likely to hurt you is using a non-natural wax base, like a paraffin or something like that, or where you buy just stuff from like a TK Maxx. No offense, TK Maxx, but like you don't know what's in the candle really. We as candle makers have to have CLP labels on the bottom. You have to state what's in it, any kind of allergens, etc. And very often you see these kind of candles being sold on the high street that for some reason don't pass these tests that they are supposed to pass. And that's when I think candles are dangerous, when you're talking about not knowing what's actually in the base, not knowing what the fragrance oil is, not knowing how it was made, where it was made. That's when it's bad. But I think otherwise, fragrance oils are just fine. And if you make candles with fragrance oils, excellent. I would have probably kept making them if I could stand the sensation of wearing a respirator, so that when I was making them and coming into contact with the high concentration myself, I wasn't breathing it in. But I just couldn't hack the respirator. Like, if you saw one of my earlier videos, I was cleaning up stuff and I had to wear one because I was dealing with these like really intense chemicals for my jewelry business. Not for me. So if I'm going to be exposing myself more than I should be exposing myself from a health and safety perspective by breathing these in more while I'm working with them, I would just prefer the essential oil. I hope that you also agree and think that they smell nice and have wonderful health benefits, being something from nature that's healing the soul to be in contact with. And if you don't, that's also fine. So I'm going to keep working on these and then we'll come back at the end and recap. So that's a little insight into how I make my candles, why I've chosen essential oils, the difference between the two a little bit, and a little preview of what these sampler sets are going to look like. I really do hope that you enjoy the sampler sets and it helps you choose which of the candle scents most speak to you. If you have any questions or thoughts, please do drop them in the comments or find me and DM me or send me an email. Always happy to hear your thoughts, feedback, etc. Do you make candles with essential oils? Do you make candles with fragrance oils? If you don't make candles, which one do you prefer and which one sounds best to you? Let me know. Thanks.